All right. Good morning, guys. So before we start today's session, today I came across one interesting website. I'll share the link in the WhatsApp group. So what is it doing is, if you enter the website name, right, and click on check traffic, so it is showing you how much user load is there on that website currently, right? See, it is checking traffic of Flipkart.com, right? Traffic means, it is checking how many users are currently using the website, that particular website. And see how much traffic your competitors are getting, right? Below that you see, right? So you can, see, suppose Flipkart guy checked their traffic, how many users are using. They can also check their website and as well as, their competitor means Amazon or any other website also, isn't it? So found that website very interesting. So 111 million users are currently using it since, right? And 98% of the traffic is from India, isn't it? So, and how are they reaching? So they are reaching, like by using Flipkart mostly, using the word Flipkart, a keyword. Then, maybe they are looking for searching for when they are searching for iPhone or Flipkart seller or Samsung also, they are reaching this website. That is what it means, right? So I'll share this link in your batch WhatsApp group also. I found that this is very much interesting. And now if you see Amazon, Amazon.in, and click on check traffic, it came to around 173 million. So the user load on Amazon now is 173 million, right? And I know some websites, whose traffic are below 1 lakh, usually 50,000 approximately. So previously, this particular website used to display the traffic also. They used to display this on the page itself, on their page itself. But somehow, recently they stopped, sharing that info. But let us check for this website, or let me check for this website. 40 to 50,000 ఉండేది on this website. Let's see if those numbers are matching here. 30 to 50,000. That used to be the normal traffic. Now it is 65K. Yes. So previously they used to display that on this page itself. But recently they have revamped the website. Hey, why it is not going off? So in the mundu e website lone they used to display like how many users are using currently. But recently they revamped the website. I can see that look and feel also changed. So UI changed basically, and they stopped displaying that. But you can check the traffic over here. Interesting, right? So you can check any website traffic over here with the help of this website. All right. So now coming back, yeah. So let us discuss any queries, guys. First we will discuss any of your queries, and then we will start the session. What are the queries that you are having? Yes.
Getting the internal server error while creating the user through the Swagger UI.
When you are executing that API call in Swagger tool, you are getting internal server error.
Yes, Pawan.
Okay. Did you check the backside of the page? Attempt that also. Okay. So I'll go to that advantage online shopping. So that means you are doing some mistake, right? That's what I believe. So let me go to that website advantageonlineshopping.com, or else do one thing, share your screen and show that. We'll see what is the issue, or maybe you are doing some mistake, or maybe it is a website issue, application issue. We'll see that.
Is it visible?
Yes. Okay. Address, you entered address, and then city name, then country. See, country, you have to give country name followed by country code also, right? Underscore IN, give underscore IN. capital IN. Yes. And mail ID, yes. Mail ID is okay. First name, okay. Last name, two letters should be there, okay. That you gave correctly. Password you gave, okay. Phone number, state or province, okay. Now click on execute button. Scroll down. You are getting 500 internal server error. Okay. So can you please give me control?
Okay.
Okay. Let me try from my end. So when you are trying, guys, like use your name so that it will be unique and no one should have used it, right? So if you use your name, okay, like this, so 11706, no one might have used this combination, right?
Pavan
Because
created now.
I'm adding the date also, huh?
It's created because India అనేది నేను full capital ఇవ్వలేదు.
Oh, okay. So that is case sensitive. That should be, that we should follow
Yes.
that we should give it in uppercase only, I think. Okay. Hmm. So now, once you are able to execute this one, right? So you can try the same API endpoint URL in the Postman also. Did you try the same post API in the Postman tool?
No.
Hmm?
No, not it.
Please try it in Postman tool.
Okay.
Now I am clicking on execute. I was able to register that user. I can see that new user created successfully. And this user ID is this one. Okay, I'll copy that user ID. And yesterday I had noted down somewhere in the class notes document. Did I note it down in the class notes document or notepad? Do you remember, guys? Did I note it down in your class notes document, or can you open your class notes document?
Class notes, I think. Class.
This is the user ID for this user. Okay. Right. So did you try that? Are you able to do it from the Postman tool?
Yes.
Can you share your screen and show that?
Yes, sir.
Today we'll see how to create a performance test script for that JMeter script for API testing. For that API testing. Okay. Yeah. So what did you do in the body? You entered that all the data, and then you got a 200 okay, and you got a confirmation saying that new user created successfully. Okay, perfect. So in this way, once you get any new API calls, right? So from the developer, so you will first test it in the Postman tool. Once it is working fine, functionally, there are no functional issues, and you have all the information, right? Then you can proceed and see you can proceed to do like create a performance test script, right? So please note that Postman tool also supporting this performance testing, but not with too much of user load. You cannot execute. It is not so flexible. But if you want to test with some 10 users or 20 users, you can do it in Postman tool only, it seems. Recently, they started supporting, Postman tool recently started supporting this performance testing. I mean, testing the APIs with multiple users. Okay. Now let us see how to, let's see how to create a performance testing script for. First, we tested in Postman tool and we verified that we made sure that we have all the data, required data. And now let us see how to create a JMeter script for this. Now, did I copy that, did I copy that endpoint URL? Yes, here it is. This is the API endpoint URL, right? This is the API endpoint URL, and where is the data? Let me copy that request body also. Okay. I'll copy this request body. This would be your request body, right? And now let's see how to create a JMeter script for this API for doing performance testing for this API, right? So once you launch JMeter, Signity is having some openings. It seems just now I got in one of the WhatsApp group. I'm sharing it. Performance test engineers, leads, architects for our projects in Hyderabad and Bangalore, Pune, and Noida. Oh, we need resources to join us on an immediate basis as per project need. Hence, only immediate to 15 days joiners may apply. So, and this is for 6 years, guys, actually. They are looking for 6 years using, I'll share it once, I'll share the actual message. Let me quickly show that Signity requirement. Yeah. So this is the requirement, guys. So of course you may be knowing that, right? Signity was acquired by Coforge. Do you know that, guys? How many of you know that previously? Signity was acquired by Coforge. Okay. So we at Coforge are looking to hire performance test engineers, leads, architects of our projects in Hyderabad and Bangalore, Pune and Noida. Prospects would have at least 6+ years of experience in performance testing. Of course, this is for 6+, but we have some people in your batch who are trying to, attend with 5 years. That is why I'm showing. So those who are having 5 years also can apply. Okay. Even though they asked for 6 years, you can apply for that, guys. So in performance testing using JMeter and LoadRunner, and we have previous batch students, some of the previous batch students who got a job with 5 years experience by claiming 5 years experience, right? So, what are the tools that they are looking? JMeter and LoadRunner with expertise in scripting. We need resources to join us on an immediate basis as per project need. Hence, only immediate to 15 days joiners may apply. But Coforge BGC will be very strict. It will be very, very strict. Some people, recently one guy got selected from our previous batch student, but because of BGC, he would not, in his first company, basically he has some issue with the first company BGC, it seems. That is why, he couldn't join actually. But otherwise, one of our Sarath, one of our previous batch student got selected for Sarath, for Coforge, sorry. One of our students, Sarath, got selected for Coforge, but unfortunately, like because of some BGC issue, he couldn't join in the first company, actually, in his first company. Okay. But there are a lot of openings for Signity because it is a service-based company, and Signity was acquired by Coforge, and Coforge has a lot of clients. Coforge, Mindtree, these are all big service, very big service-based companies. Okay. Now let us see once we tested that API. Now let us see how to create a performance testing script for this particular API. Five minutes, actually. 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. Okay. Now, so once you launch JMeter, right? Once you launch your JMeter, so you suppose if you want to do performance testing for that particular API only, this particular API, which one? This particular registration API, right? So you need to break that request, or you need to, like what is server name, what is resource path, and all this, isn't it? Once you launch your JMeter, add a thread group. And to that thread group, add a request sampler, HTTP request sampler. I gave all the steps in the PPT. Let me show you that quickly. In the web services PPT, I gave it. And also that is there in the JMeter PPT also. Okay. So, and I gave example for some other API endpoint URL, weather map API. I gave it as an example, right? But you can see here I gave the steps: add a thread group, add a sampler called request sampler, and then enter API details onto HTTP request like protocol, server name, request type, resource path, and query string. Here I gave some other example. So, but we are taking today that AOS user registration API. So I'll give the name as AOS user registration API. Now to this request, we need to give these details. We need to enter the details. Okay. What are those details? We need to enter protocol, server name, port number, resource path, and a request method. right? And what method is this? What method is this? Create account API. It is a post method, right? Remember that it is a post method, isn't it? It's a post
Yes.
method. Yes or no? Yes. You can
Yes.
see here. See, registration method is a post method. So select post here, and then protocol. How about protocol? See the
HTTP.
URL, okay? If you see the endpoint URL, right, you will get to know like see here it is. The request URL is HTTPS, right? Protocol is HTTPS, right? And this would be your server name, isn't it? Give that server name over here, and then protocol is HTTPS. And port number, what would be the port number? Do you have any port number here? It is not showing here, isn't it? Then what port number we should use? So here it is not showing any port number, but which port number? Or can we skip that port number?
No.
Or do we need to use that? Let's see. Okay, and I'll go to the remaining data. Okay, so this is your what is the path now? See, request method kakunda. What else do we need to give? We need to give the resource path. Now what is the resource path here? From where to where is called as resource path?
Account service, account rest, API
Huh?
v1. After the
Yes.
URL.
Right. After that URL. This is the URL. After that URL, what is there after the URL?
After the URL means that
After the
advantage
server
online
name,
shop.
right? So this is your resource path. This would be your resource path, isn't it? So give that resource path over here. Okay. And we'll see without port number, if it works, we'll see. And then body data, we have some body data, right? So we had marked it somewhere, or else you can copy it from here as well. So you can copy it from here. I'll copy it from here and give it in the body data. Right? And then I'll change this. We need to change that email or login name, right? So 1708 under. Here also I'll give 1708. Password 1708. Okay. This is body data. Let me save this. Next, what next? User registration API Anton. Okay. Yeah. What next? So, when I execute this script, I want to see the result. So I'll add a view results tree, right? Once I execute the script, I want to see the result of this API. So I'll add a view results tree. And what else do we require? What else do we need to add for this?
Debug sampler.
Debug sampler, huh? Why debug sampler? We are not doing any correlations or no parameterization is also there for now, right?
Enough.
So we don't require a debug sampler, isn't it? So I'll add, yeah. Anything else is required for this to make the API work?
Sessions, responses.
Yes, response assertion is required. Good. What else? So what shall I add as response assertion? Shall I give this? New user created successfully, Ani? Shall we give this?
Yes.
Yes.
That is the response body, right? So, I can use this happily. I can use this happily, isn't it? If registration is successful, then you will get this response. Next, what else is required? Can we execute this API endpoint URL like this? Or do we need to give any other info? We need something else. We need something important. Something else that is important. Okay, let me do one thing. I will replay the script and see what happens.
Summary report is important.
Summary report is for if you want to see the response times and all, then the summary report is required. Otherwise, for executing the script, you don't require it, right?
Cookie cache manager.
add cookie manager, cache manager. Okay, and select this one. But that is not the end of the story. Not just this
User
cookie manager,
defined.
cache manager. There is something else that is important. I'll add it here to the test plan. Yes. Let me see. Let us execute and see. Okay. What is it saying? 500 internal server error. And how did the request go? This is how the request went. Right? And now response data, what response we got? 500 internal server error. Right? So what something is missing then, isn't it? There is something that is missing. What is that? Guys, okay. I'll go to this page and see, observe here and tell me what is missing. Yesterday I had already explained it.
Request headers.
Hmm?
Request headers.
Yeah, request headers, exactly. Did we discuss yesterday, curl
Yes,
command? What does
yes.
curl command tell you? Or it will show you the important headers. Did I explain it? This or no?
Yes, explained.
Right? These are mandatory headers and Japan, right? And I'm showing this. I am asking like, what is the, what are we missing? Ante, like only one is able to answer. Okay, thanks. At least one is able to answer. I should be happy for that. So how to add request headers now? To this HTTP request, add a child element called, add a config element called HTTP header manager. We need to add a HTTP header manager. And then I had copied that header already. And now I'll simply come here and, I'll simply click on paste or, add from clipboard, right? So I'll use add from clipboard. Now you see here, accept is added, accept header is added, name and value is added here, right? So, and similarly, copy this header also, right? Just copy that header, come here and, click on add from clipboard. Wonderful, right? Now you are able to add it, isn't it? Headers are added. Now let us replay the script. Will it work? Let us see if it works. It will fail again. It should fail. Oh, it passed. Okay, wonderful, right? Now new user, it is saying that new user created successfully, right? Now that means, like say, observe here. I did not specify any port number, right? But what port number it might have used?
443.
Maybe it used 443 because that is the
default HTTP.
that is a default for
Default.
HTTPS, isn't it? That is a default for
Yes.
HTTPS. Even if you use also, it should work. Let us see. Let's see. Okay. I'll just give 443 and see what happens. And I need to change the data, right? I'll change the data. And I'll replay the script again. Right? It is working, right? It's working even though you don't specify the port number, it is working because that is the default one for HTTPS, isn't it? But if you give some other port number here, suppose 80 each, if you give 80, will it work? Will it work if I give 80 as a port number?
You
What is 80?
specified it HTTPS, so it won't. If you
Right.
clear that HTTPS, then it will.
Right. So if you give HTTPS here and if you give 80 here, it will not work. Okay, let's see that. Let us see. But it won't work, but let us see what error message you will get. Right? Obviously it did not work, and what response did we got? Observe here, unsupported or unrecognized SSL message. Right? It is throwing some SSL exception. Right? That is purely because of this port number. So it should be 443 or leave it blank. If it is 443, it should work. Clear, guys? Now, why did it fail? Why did it fail? What is it saying? Username already exists, right? So because I did not change the data, isn't it? Okay. Now it is working fine. It found that new user created successfully, and that is why response assertion passed. Right. Now your HTTP request is ready. All right. And similarly, like you need to now, like now you understood the process, right? Now what you do is like go to that Advantage online shopping application, go to account service, right? And get, try the next request, which is login request. Try the next request, create a JMeter script, like this in the same script. You can do it in the same script. Just add one more HTTP, one more, 1 second, one more HTTP request. Add one more, sorry, sampler HTTP request and do this is let it use it for login, user login. Okay. And can you build the script by following the similar instructions? Can you please build the script? Yeah, please work on it. So I'll pause recording for a moment. I will and to this thread group, like I will name this as AOS API testing. And I will add one more request for logout. Okay. Now can you build this request? You can take 5 minutes and build that request. So previously you registered one user ID, right? Give the same email ID here. Okay. What you can do is you can parameterize the see what do we want to log in? We want password, we want user ID, and we want email ID, isn't it? So like parameterize that in the so in this request, go to this request and parameterize the email ID and login name and password, and pass those parameters only in the user login request. First, you need to enter the server name and then resource path and request method. You need to select the appropriate request method, and then you need to pass the data in the body data, right? Or parameters, either parameters or body data. You can do it, either ways. Clear, guys? So what is the error that you are getting? And also, you need to do logout also. Okay. Once login is done, go to get that, logout API. Go to that logout API. Right. Here is where is your logout API? It should be there somewhere here. Login. Then yeah, here it is. Go to that logout API, get that endpoint URL, and you need to pass that account ID, right? See, observe here, we got some account ID over here, right? In the when you are replaying the script, you got some account ID or user ID. So you need to correlate that user ID from here, from the response, from this response of this request. You need to correlate it and pass it in the logout request. Okay. So will you try it or you want me to explain?
We will try.
Please try it. You should try. You should be able to do that now. So correlation, parameterization, response assertions, all these concepts remain the same in GUI testing as well as API testing, right? But you should be able to try it. You should be able to implement whatever you have learned till now. Right? So I'll wait for another 10 minutes. Please try it. I'll pause recording and I'll wait for another 10 minutes. So to complete user login and logout. Particularly, when you are going for Mindtree interview, this is how they give some APIs and they will ask you to create a script in front of them and do required correlations and parameterizations, and whether they will check whether, whether you are following the naming conventions or not, right? They will check all those, whether you are adding response assertions, what kind of response assertions you are adding. They will check all these concepts. They will check all these things. So I'll wait for another 10 minutes. Please try to complete your login and logout.
Full అని రావాలి బట్ ఇక్కడ 200 అని చూపిస్తుంది.
Okay.
ఇక్కడ రిక్వెస్ట్ లోకి వచ్చేసరికి ఇది రెస్పాన్స్ డేటా
No, ignore that response code. Response codes they are not using properly, but we should see that assertion should pass, right? Or in the response body, you should have that, go to response data, response body, go to response data and see the response body. login successful should be there, right? You should see
Yes,
that message
yes.
that login is successful. But in the
Yes.
results tree, view results tree, go to response data tab.
Content.
ఆ రిక్వెస్ట్ సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకున్నప్పుడు go to response data there. పైన
Okay.
3 tabs ఉన్నాయి కదా, request and response data. Yes. Now in the response data, are you seeing any message saying that login is successful? That is not there because if it is there, response assertion will pass, isn't it? Go to that login request once in the script. Go to the login request in the script. Tejasvi. See, if you see here, like previously when we did user registration, there are 2 headers, right? Those 2 headers are required for every API. For every API or any API in this application. This accept header and content type, these 2 are required for any API in this application. So you can copy paste those. You can copy paste those from that header manager, or simply copy paste the header manager. HTTP header manager copy paste assign for all the APIs. That's enough. Is your user registration API working fine? Krishna?
లేదన్నా హెడర్స్ ఎక్కడున్నాయి అనేది అర్థం కాలేదు సైట్ లో
Headers?
సైట్ లో ఏ లొకేషన్ లో ఉన్నాయి అనేది అర్థం కాలేదు.
It is showing here na Krishna, ఇక్కడ కనిపిస్తుంది కదా, curl command లో curl command, it is showing the headers, right?
మీకు చూపిస్తుంది నాకు
Just copy this one, accept నుంచి ఇక్కడ వరకు. That is what I did.
నాకు అది చూపించలేదు.
Huh?
రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ నాకు అది చూపించలేదు.
What is that?
It is not showing to me.
Not showing to you.
Yeah.
Share your screen and stop recording. Please share your screen because like mali 4K video record avuddi. So I'll pass. Yeah, that's it, Krishna. So you are done, right? So now you understood how to build a script from API testing script from scratch, right?
Yes.
So and
Yes.
if you have any queries, like you can check that in from the developers. Like suppose if you say that like if headers are mandatory, what are the important headers, right? Or what is the if see some APIs require some token, some bearer token to execute, right? So that how to get that bearer token, all these details you can get it from the developers. Okay, I could not record because yours is 4K screen, I could not record it. Now one of you, Tejasvi or anyone else, please share your screen. Mahesh, is there any difficulty in that? Mahesh, ఏమైనా difficulty ఉందా అక్కడ? Gopinath and Mahesh?
Yes, sir. I am in crowds.
Crowd
లో ఉన్నాను సార్.
ఎక్కడున్నావు?
ఫంక్షన్ దగ్గర ఉన్నాను సార్. ఫంక్షన్ సార్. ఫంక్షన్ దగ్గర ఉన్నాను. కొద్దిగా డిస్టర్బెన్స్ ఉంది.
No, understood. But why are you joining? Like recorded session, you'll get recorded session anyways, right?
But
Gopinath?
Anna, yesterday class miss and go through that class. Then I will do that.
Okay, Tejasvi?
tomorrow I do show, sir.
Okay, Mahesh. Tejasvi, are you done?
We'll share.
Yeah. Login is not successful.
Yes.
Go to the request. Are you done with that registration first of all?
Yes, Pawan.
Is registration successful?
Okay, let me do it one more time.
Okay, registration is successful. Now what you need to do, so you need to, of course, for logout, user ID is required. You can correlate that user ID later, but use the same, mail ID that you gave here. Okay, and login user. Yeah, and now wait. See, where did you add header manager, ma? Tejasvi, observe there. Header manager ni you added to
Okay.
that thread group actually. You should add to that request. Yes. So that is a mistake that you are doing.
Okay. Yes,
Perfect.
now it's working.
Our login is successful. And go to that response. Show me the response. Response data. Of course, response assertion passed. Right. So you can see that login is successful. It is showing login as successful. And also you got some token over there, right? You need to correlate
Yeah.
that token for logout request. Can you please try for logout now? Try to build a script for logout or try to build a transaction controller for logout now. There, wait. So you need to pass the account ID and token, right? So if
Yes.
what do you do is copy the token and you got some token in the JMeter script, right? Copy the token and account ID and pass it here and execute it first. Copy the token, right? Till that, the session ID mundu varku. Yes, that is your token. Can you maximize the font? Can you go to options and zoom in? And also, yeah, adjust those frames because మాకు చాలా చిన్నగా కనిపిస్తుంది అది. Yeah. Okay. Now copy the token and user ID also. Copy that token and paste it in that Swagger tool. First, we'll verify that in the Swagger tool, right? So pass the token there first. Just double click the string. That is account ID, right? Second line
Yes.
you have token. Yes. Now paste it here.
Just a sec. Control V. Sorry, Control C. Control V. I'm unable to paste it.
Now you will be able to
can
paste it.
click on the execute.
Maybe you didn't copy it.
Control C. Alt tab. Control V.
Double quotes తో సహా సెలెక్ట్ చేసావు, select with without the double quotes, but that should not be an issue. Should be able to paste it. How
Even I'm
come?
unselecting it. Unselect కూడా చేయలేకపోతున్నా ఎక్కడ క్లిక్ చేసినా.
Okay, can you go to the browser and click on execute?
Click on execute. Account
The
ID ఇవ్వాలి కదా.
In the bottom లో
ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ ఆప్షన్ లేదేంటి? You have, okay. You
ఓకే,
need
ఒక
to click
నిమిషం
on try
ఉండండి.
it out.
లేదు, ట్రై ఇట్ అవుట్.
Yes.
okay.
ఒక్క నిమిషం. కంట్రోల్ సి, కంట్రోల్. oops.
Okay. Then copy the account ID also.
Double quotes.
That is fine. అది కరెక్ట్ గానే అయింది.
Okay.
And user ID. Double click and copy it. Yeah, okay. So now click on execute now. Scroll down and you should see that logout is successful. See, invalid username or password ఉంటుంది. Why is it saying invalid username or password?
It is taking -1.
Maybe that token is false. Success false. User ID -1. Is it so invalid username or password? Okay. I think that is an application issue. Okay, leave it. Okay. I think this API is having some issue. So leave it. So first, try that user registration and login. అక్కడి వరకు try చేయండి. All right.
Okay.
So now what you do is, see, in real time, when you get APIs from the developers, they will ask you to do performance. First they will develop the APIs. Developers will develop the APIs first. and they will ask you to do performance testing for those APIs. So this is how you build your API testing script. And observe here one more thing. So in the user registration, like Tejasvi, can you please give me control? I have sent a request.
Okay.
So ikkada, like in the response of this, right? What are you getting in the user registration script? In the registration script, what are you getting? You
User
are getting that user ID. So you need to correlate that user ID from there, right? From the response, you need to add a boundary extractor and you will correlate that user ID. And then you need to pass that, that user ID in the logout step. Understood?
Okay.
And you need to parameterize the username, password, and email. And in all the APIs, you need to replace that in all the APIs. Clear? And then logout low, you have that token and user ID. So you need to, once you correlate that user ID from the login step, registration step, right? You need to use that user ID in the logout. And also, where do we get the token? In
Login.
logout,
It's a
we are
login.
having on token, right?
Login.
Go to
Yes.
Swagger UI. Go to Swagger UI. Logout low, you need to pass the token value, isn't it? Scroll up. Yeah, here it is. In the logout request requires the token. And where are we getting the token?
At the login. No.
From
In the
login.
login request. In the response body of login request, you'll get the token. So you need to correlate that token value from login request and pass it in the logout request.
Okay.
Right? So, this is how you develop the API testing script. Right? So but I think, logout is somehow, this application is having some issue, I think. Or else can you check that, token value correct and choose Tejasvi? Check if the token value is correct. GEU, right? EYJ nunchi, it is ending with GEU. Go to JMeter
Yes.
and see if that is correct or not. EYJ, like, you got it from EYJ.
JEUW.
W.
W, you missed W.
W. Yep. Sorry.
That is why it is saying invalid username or password. Okay. Now execute, scroll down and execute. Now it is successful, right?
Okay.
Successful.
Logout is successful.
Yes.
Okay. Now, once you develop the script, right, now you will ask the client what is the user load for each script. And there is one more important value that you need to ask the client, that is request per second. When you are, thanks Tejasvi, I'm stopping your screen share.
Yeah.
So when you are supposed to do API testing, right? So you need to ask the client some requirements. So what are those? You need to get all the API endpoint URLs, first of all, right? You need to get all the, so whenever you want to do API testing, so you need to ask what are the endpoint URLs. And you need to ask what is the input data for each API, right? And then what is the user load for each API? How much user load we should apply? Or, we can also ask, request per second. If the application is already in production, you need to ask what is the user load or what is the, how many requests per second are there for that API, for each API. You need to ask that value, right? You need to, and if the application is already in production, this is if the application is already in production. You need to ask what is the request per second value, and then you should try to achieve that request per second value, okay, by using some elements which we'll discuss tomorrow, right? There are a couple of other throughput controlling elements like throughput shaping timer or constant throughput timer. There are two elements for achieving that that throughput the desired throughput, right? But you need to ask like this information: what is the endpoint URL, what is the input data, user load, what is the user load that we need to achieve, or what is the request per second value that we need to achieve. And then if any APIs requires authorization token, right? So you need to ask how to get that authorization token also. How to? What is the request? See, for authorization token also you'll have another API. So what is the API for that? You need to ask what is the corresponding API. And then you need to build your API testing script like just how we did today. Clear? And then you will apply load. So basically like you will add a throughput shaping timer or constant throughput timer. So basically there are two timers to manage to control the RPS value. 1 second.
For multiple users, we use the CSV dataset for
Huh?
the parameterization. We are running the multiple users now. Shall we use while running the multiple users? Shall we use the CSV data for parameterization?
You can use CSV dataset config element.
Okay.
Yes, right. Now coming back to this, so RPS value is important when testing APIs. Right, in interviews they will ask you. Suppose you are assigned to do some API performance testing, right? Or else I want to do some performance testing for my APIs. Can you ask me questions? What information you will get from the client, right? Interviews will ask like this. Understood, guys? So you need to know what all details are required for that. What is the RPS value? What is the endpoint URL? What is the test data or input data for each of those APIs, right? Or else where are those APIs? Can you provide the Swagger UI URL, right? So or else they will provide, and then you need to get all this information, and then you need to build your API testing script, and you have to do performance testing for that APIs. And to achieve this RPS value, what client told, what client want, right? So we have two elements in JMeter called constant throughput timer and throughput shaping timer plugin. Either you can use constant throughput timer or throughput shaping timer plugin. So using that, you can achieve the desired RPS, right? So RPS can be controlled in JMeter using the below two elements. Okay. So
RPS is, so in this case, it's considered as a load. I mean, it will control RPS means load.
So suppose see, login user registration anedi, like let's say for example, what is RPS? How many requests user registration requests are coming per second, right? Or how many login requests are coming per second. So client will have that information. How many logins happen, how many order placement happens, how many order placing APIs will be called, or how many requests are coming to order placing API, or how many requests are coming to logout API. So a client will give that information, and we'll achieve that with the help of these elements, these two elements, constant throughput timer or throughput shaping timer plugin.
Okay.
Okay, but so in any project, so I'll conclude in 2 minutes. So in any project, you may in any project, we will do both GUI testing as well as API testing. First of all, in any project, you will do both GUI testing as well as API testing. So GUI testing means whatever we did, for the last 2 months, that is GUI testing. And now this API testing is what we did, today, right? This is how we develop the script. And to develop the GUI testing scripts, you are well experienced in that, right? That is what we did in the last 2 months, isn't it? And then API testing means, this is today's session, once you get the API endpoint URL, so we had discussed like how will we build a script, API testing script, right? And and then once these two are ready, GUI testing scripts and API testing scripts are ready, you will run this separately and this one separately. Okay, you will run GUI testing scripts separately and API testing scripts separately. In some projects, they will ask you to test only APIs. In some projects, they will ask you only to do GUI testing. But ideally, you have to do both. Okay. Now, if you see that, if you see the performance test strategy that I 1 second, I'll show you the performance test strategy for Konakat application, right? I had prepared for Konakat application. So observe here, this is test strategy. What is test strategy? Another important interview question. Can you explain what is performance test strategy, or how do you prepare performance test strategy, right? So this is one, I gave an introduction here. I told what is performance testing here. And then I told, I had mentioned that performance testing can be broadly classified into two categories. One is API testing, the other one is GUI testing. And then I had listed out all the critical business flows and what are the different types of testing that we are going to do. That's it. These are the important details, right? So these important details make your performance test strategy. But in the test plan document, you will have a lot of other details, right? In test plan document, you will have what are the step-by-step navigation for each script, what all are the APIs that you need to test, all those details. Test plan will be generally a 7 to 8 pages document, but test strategy is a single page document. You will have only, what are the we'll mention only what are the critical business flows of the application and what are the important types of testing that we are going to do for that application, and whether we are going to do GUI testing only or API testing only or both. You understood? So that's it. We mentioned this in the performance test strategy document. Okay. So we'll stop it here for today. We'll continue tomorrow.
So Pavan, one query. AOS లో APIs కూడా ఉన్నాయి కదా. సో ఇప్పుడు మీరు అన్నారు కదా API టెస్టింగ్ GUI టెస్టింగ్ అని. సో నేను AOS కి GUI టెస్టింగ్ సపరేట్ గా చేయాలి, సేమ్ అదే API టెస్టింగ్ కూడా సపరేట్ గా చేయాలి, అంతేనా?
Yes. So you'll have one test plan for GUI testing and another test plan for API testing.
Okay.
So, and what is the purpose of doing it again? Like if there are any API issues, for example, in user registration GUI testing script flow. Okay, let me open that JMeter, that script once. You developed one script for one test plan for GUI testing and one test plan for API testing. Okay, in user registration you have some APIs, right? API V1 or
Yes.
cart or something, right? So akada, internally that is getting called, like when you recorded the script on GUI, API is getting called. But when you do API testing separately, right? Suppose if you have any APIs are having performance issues, you will get it here itself. Ikkada telisipodhu manaki what is the, like which API, if there are any particular APIs which are causing issues and all, isn't it?
Yes, understood. So if we are having any issues with the APIs, then we will identify by using this API testing.
Right. Yes. Okay. So ikkada, when you submit the form, right, there are some APIs, isn't it? So, but if you test the individual APIs separately, right, API response time should be in milliseconds. Remember this. 100 milliseconds, 200 milliseconds. It should not be more than a second. API response time should not be more than a second. Maximum is 1 second. It should not be actually. Otherwise, usually your API response time should be milliseconds only. Okay. So if let's say, for example, if any web service or API is having some performance issue, then your transaction response time will be impacted, right?
Yes.
So that is why if you test the APIs separately, you will be able to isolate the APIs which are having performance issues, right? So that in that way you can easily identify the performance issues. You understood?
Yes.
All right, then I'll stop it here for today. What is the time now? It's already 1 o'clock. I'll stop it here for today. We'll continue tomorrow.
Okay. And one more thing, shall we check with that login laptop selection like that in API testing? And laptop selection API testing lo kuda cheyocha?
Cheyochu, yes.
Okay,
you can do that
laptop.
order placing also. You can create a you can create a script for placing an order using APIs alone.
Okay.
If they are let us see if the corresponding API is provided. See, these are account service APIs. Whatever visa, and then see you should go to order service, and there you will have that clear add old order to shopping cart. No, APIs are not there. They did not provide the corresponding APIs. I think catalog. What do you have in catalog? Export to Excel, etc. Is there?
Okay, we will check.
See, if you have the APIs, you can do any of those. Okay. If they provided the APIs, you can do any of those. Right? Okay. And see, payment on you have APIs for say payment. Right. So if you have APIs for picking, placing an order, yes, you can do that. See, this is payment API. So what will you do? First, you will log into the application. You will by using corresponding API, login API, and then if you have the order placing API, you will place an order, and then you will make the payment by using this API, and then you will log out.
Okay, this we will check.
First, we do that user registration, login, logout. That's enough. Okay, if you are able to do that successfully, that is enough. You should be able to apply the concept anywhere.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Pawan, thank you.
Okay, all right then. So I'll stop it here. So API testing is very easy. There is nothing complex, isn't it? Manaki, and you know how to do correlation, how to do parameterization, how to add response assertions. So, there is nothing new in this API testing. Only thing is you need to ask the client what is the RPS value that we want to achieve. How many requests will be called per second. If you get that information, that's it. Right? And you should know that, like what elements we need to add for that. We need to add these two. We can use any of these two elements. Constant throughput timer or throughput shaping timer plugin. That's it. If you know these, if you remember these concepts, that's it. Okay. All right, then I'll stop it here for today. We'll continue tomorrow.